just say, I don't usually introduce anything I write, but because everybody's written these really cogent things about what Colin's written, I think it's worth saying that this is a response to the book, but it's kind of like the first time you see pointillism and you decide you're going to try to make pointillism. It's really that degree of a response. It's like, oh shit, I didn't even know that you could do this. I'll try it. So let's call the piece Fondly. One way they tell it is your mom is 16. She's homeroom famous for an afternoon of smashing stuff behind the school with a hammer she stole from your dad's shop class. She smashes a chipped glass eye, a pair of translucent six-sided dice, a cage of polio-infected lab mice, and a bake sale pie. She makes a face while she's smashing everything, like the faces you see on scientists before some kind of breakthrough, somber, reflective, reservedly triumphant. She locks eyes with your father, it's enough. The third time they screw out along River Road, Cat Stevens singing The First Cut is the Deepest through Camaro tweeters. She tries to hold on to that feeling, the cool air on her face, and the anywhere but home, but not the sex so much. The moment slips, she gets you instead. One way they tell it is your mom is on shore leave in France at the end of the big one. It's been months since dry land, and all she wants is a lumpy bed and a warm body to cling to. She don't mind paying for either. Jack says, these French broads really know how to work it, if you know what I mean. She doesn't know what he means, not really. Jack talks a lot is all. And the broads talk too. These French broads talk about all sorts of stuff. To themselves mostly, smoking cigarettes on the balcony while your mom snores. The snores of a man returned from sea, heavy with wine and empty to frustrations. They whisper about the baby that's coming, about how they can feel it already, about how they know the bed will be empty in the morning, but it's nice to think about making a family in the country, even if it's just for pretend, as long as there's wine to be drunk. One way they tell it is your mom is the Civic Affairs Committee of Brighton, Nevada, tasked with drawing back tourists since the interstate came along and made dinosaurs of the old highways. She's a cluster of hope and fear, industriousness and backroom dealings, and by the time she's arrived at the plans for you, it's too late anyhow. The townsfolk have moved on, set up shop in other towns along the interstate. Even the mayor's moved on, taking a lesser position as vice mayor in the next town over. But she signs for you anyhow because she takes civic affairs seriously, because a committee is only as good as the strength of its resolutions. When you're born, she gives up on her old life. When the girl at the apartments down the way says you can swim with her in her dad's pool, she doesn't mean it. And when her brother makes fun of you with his friends, it isn't meaningful. It's only what it is. For every pair of teeth a fish can grow, another fish will grow in just such a way as to slip unscathed between those teeth. You don't excel at studies or the playing of music. When your mom dies, you wander until you find something that looks like a life of your own. When it isn't what you want, you consider a second all too similar thing and flirt with it until realizing that that too is a thing you don't want. When you turn 50, your closest friends sing you a song and each of them wishes they were someplace else. On your 30th birthday, you're covered in blood like a newborn, talking down a mess of tequila and cocaine that's dressed like your cousin but holding a knife. At times, the lion neglects the ibex, because at times being a lion is enough. There's little to be said about the sex you find along the way. Even when it's great, there's little to be said. You clean bathrooms, tighten mirror fixtures, swing hammers, drive cars, close accounts, lose keys, yell sometimes, read sometimes, and occasionally change your hair. You die, of course, but not before you disappoint your children. In one story, you're a very successful taxidermist, and the disease you take from owl feathers is both rare and undiagnosed. In one story, you've absolutely got the right of way in the crosswalk. In one story, you're on shore leave in France at the end of the war, and you tell your buddy, these French broads really know how to work it, if you know what I mean. And you say it like you mean it, even though you've never been to France, and you're not entirely sure what it is that you mean. You've never seen again after that, despite all points bulletins, despite citywide searches. A flag is delivered to your aging mother. Mortgage rates rise gently over time. In one story, you ascend directly to heaven and live forever at the ankles of God, or hell, whichever is most likely. It's the story nobody reads in the funeral program, despite the bold lettering. But everyone throws a handful of dirt on your coffin just the same, and no final tallies are presented of the bathroom breaks or afternoon jogs you took while you were alive. Thanks.